boys and girls. Welcome to Everyday Math Lesson 1.9, Equivalent Names for Numbers. The materials that you'll need: notebook paper, pencil, and math journal. Let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is go over our math boxes from the previous lesson. So can you open up your math journal to page 10? We'll talk about the answers. If you notice that you have any mistakes, please fix those with your pencil and eraser. So let's look at number 1. Fill in the missing numbers. So what comes after 47 would be 48, then we have 49, and then 50. For question number 2, write the missing numbers. So one more than 124 would be 125. Then we have 126, 127, 128, and 129. For number 3, show 2 ways to make 5 cents. So you could show that either with 1 nickel or with 5 pennies. For question number 4, write odd or even. So I know that 3 is an odd number. 8 is an even number. 1 is odd and 27 is also an odd number. For question number 5, fill in the missing frames. So if our rule is plus 10 and we're starting at 20, we know that 20 plus 10 would get us to 30. 30 plus 10 would get us to 40. 40 plus 10 would get us to 50. 50 plus 10 would get us to 60. And then they gave us our last point of 70. For the last problem, number 6, you needed to solve each of these problems. For the unit, you could have picked whatever you wanted. I chose to use dogs for my unit. So if I have 6 plus 5, I know my total would be 11. So 11 equals 6 plus 5. If I have 7 plus 5, I know, well, 7 is just one more than 6. So 7 plus 5 would give me 12. 8 plus 5 would give me 13. And 9 plus 5 would be 14. So please double check to make sure that you have your page correct. And if you have any questions, you can ask your classroom teacher. We'll put our math journal to the side for a moment, and if you could take out either your notebook or whiteboard and marker if available, and if I'm going too fast, please pause as often as needed. Boys and girls, can you write down 3 different ways that you can get to 10 by adding 2 numbers? I'll show you one way, just so you know what I mean. I know that 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. Can you see if you can come up with 2 more ways to get to 10? Press pause and then play when you're ready to hear my answers. All right, second graders, there's lots of possible answers, but I also chose 7 plus 3 to equal 10 and 4 plus 6 to equal 10. Let's try another problem like this. This time, can you write down 3 ways that you can get to 20 by adding 2 numbers? I'll show you my first one so you know what I mean for an example. I know that 10 plus 10 equals 20. Can you think of 2 other ways to get 20? Press pause and then play when you're ready to hear the answer. I know that 15 plus 5 equals 20. And I also know that 12 plus 8 equals 20. And again, there are lots of different ways to get to 20, so you maybe had different answers than I did. We'll try one more like this. This time, can you think of 3 ways that you can get to 100 by adding 2 numbers? So just like I did, 50 plus 50 equals 100. Can you think of 2 more ways? Press pause and then play when you're ready to hear the answer. I know that 75 plus 25 equals 100. For this one, I'm kind of thinking like quarters. 3 quarters would be 75 cents. 1 quarter would be 25. 75 plus 25 equals 100. I know that 40 plus 60 is also equal to 100. And again, you probably had different answers than I did because there's lots of different ways that you can get to 100. All right, boys and girls, you can put your whiteboard to the side. We're now going to talk about Math Journal pages 11, 12, and 13. Let's start with 11 first. So today our page is talking about a broken calculator, and we're not going to use a calculator for this one. But what a broken calculator means, for the example, if we wanted to show the number 17, but we're not going to use a 7. We're going to pretend like the 7 key is broken. So look at the different ways that I show 17. I know 11 plus 6 is 17. Then we subtracted. 20 minus 3 could get us to 17. And this way we added 3 numbers. 8 plus 8 is equal to 16, plus 1 more is 17. So again, notice in all 3 of these problems, I did not use the number 7 to get me to 17. So could you try for number 1, getting to 3, but not using the number 3? For number 2, showing 20, but not using a 2? Showing 22 without a 2, showing 12 without using the 1 key, and then for number 5, you can make up your own. So if you can complete this page and then press play when you're ready to talk about some answers. Press pause now. So second graders, there's more than just the answers that I have, but here's some ways that I showed 3. I showed 3 by doing 1 plus 1 plus 1, by subtracting 5 minus 2, and by subtracting 10 minus 7. To show 20, I chose to show 20 by adding 10 plus 10, by subtracting 30 minus 10, and by adding 7 plus 7 plus 7, which would be 21, and then subtracting 1. Notice how in all 3 of these problems, I did not use a number 2. And if I'm going too fast, you can press pause in between each example. To show 22, I did 19 plus 3, 30 minus 8, and 11 plus 11. To show 12, I did 4 plus 4 plus 4, 3 plus 3 I know is 6, another 3 plus 3 would also get me to 6, and I know 6 plus 6 is 12, and I also did 6 plus 6. Now for the last one, I chose to use 15, and my broken key was a number 5. So my examples, I have 11 plus 4, 8 plus 7, and 17 minus 2. And if you have any questions with this page, you can ask your classroom teacher. The next page that we're going to talk about is page 12. So it says use your toolkit bills to help you. If you have a toolkit of bills, you could use those. Otherwise, you can just use the amounts that they provide here. So if I have 2 $10 bills and 3 $1 bills, I want to know how much money that is. And we'll talk about this example one together. Well, I know that 2 $10 bills would be $20, and I know 3 $1 bills would be $3. So my total is $23. Could you try the rest of the problems and then press play when you're ready to talk about the answers? Press pause now. All right, boys and girls, if I have 8 $10 bills, I know that's $80. And if I have 4 $1 bills, that would be $4. Well, 80 plus 4 would get me to my 84. For number 2, if I had 5 $100 bills, I know that's going to give me $500. If I have 4 $10 bills, that's going to get me to 40. And then 3 $1 bills would get me to $543. 7 $100 bills would get me to 700. 6 $10 bills would get me to 60. 9 $1 bills would get me to 9. So I have $769. 4 $800 bills would get me to 800. 2 $10 bills would get me to 20. And then if I have 0 $1 bills, I'm going to show that by just putting a 0 in that ones place. So my answer would be 820. For number 5, if I have 3 $100 bills, that would get me to 300. Now notice how just like before, if I have 0 $10 bills, I'm going to show that by putting that 0 in the tens place. And then I have my 4 $1 bills. All right, boys and girls, look at this number 6. This is a challenge problem. If you weren't able to get this one on your own, that's okay. Let's talk about this one together. So if I have 22 $100 bills, I would have $2,200. So I would first put my 2 and my 2. Then if I have 5 $10 bills, I would have 50. And lastly, if I would have 7 $1 bills, I would have 7. So to have this amount, I would have $2,257. When we're inserting our comma, we count over 3 spaces and put our comma right in between those two 2's. The last thing that we're going to talk about today is page 13, and that's our math box page. So we'll quickly talk about the directions. When you're all done, please take a picture and add the picture to Seesaw for your classroom teacher. And then we'll go over the answers for this page in our next video. So look at question number 1. We know a D stands for dime. So think about how much money dimes are and count how much money and then put your answer on the line. For question number 2, fill in the missing numbers. For number 3, show 23 with tally marks. For question number 4, there's 2 parts. First, you need to tell me what time is it on the clock right now. And then think, in a half hour, what time will it be? For question number 5, solve. Fill in the circle next to the best answer. If you also want to write your answer on the line too, that would be great. For question number 6, they aren't giving you the rule. So we need to figure out, so we're going to figure out what's the missing number. So if we're at 5 and we're skipping a space and then we are at 15, I can kind of think about how much space is in between. Then I can look here too. If I'm at 15 and I jump to 25, I need to think about what would be that missing number. What do you think they're counting by? So when you figure out what they're counting by, plug that in for the rule and then fill in your missing numbers. All right, thank you. We'll see you next time.